the first thing in law paper and in sort of any paper in CA examination is, let me give you a situation. I give you a gift box, okay, and I wrap it really well. Like the packaging and all is awesome. But the product inside is not at all good. Let's say I'm keeping a stone or just simple papers. Okay, trash, nothing inside. Instead, I'm giving you another gift, which is not very well packed, but inside stuff is very good. Let's say a watch, an Apple Watch. Which one would you prefer? The gift box which has the Apple Watch, right? So that's what happens with CA examination. No matter how beautifully you write, or no matter how lengthy you write, till you don't have the content and quality in your answer, they are not going to give you marks. Okay, you can write as much as beautiful cursive handwriting and all of that, do calligraphy work and come, you will still not get marks if there is no answer, quality in the answer that you present. So the first important thing is concepts. If your concepts are not clear, irrespective of whatever you write in the paper, the length, this is not like BCom exams. In BCom, length is equal to answer. If a 6-mark question, you have to write for 2.5 pages. Content does not matter. Here, content matters the most. They will give you questions which will be only for 4 marks, but for which you have to write one whole page. Because they want to test you whether you are able to connect that this is the concept that they have asked done. Or there will be sometimes questions which they have marked for 6 marks. There will be only 4 points. So what students will do, they'll start cooking up stories. So here there is no place for beating around the bush or cooking up the stories. You have to know the concept, and if there is no quality in your content, this marks, this paper presentation or the tips that we are giving you right now will help you boost 5 to 10 marks. But majority of your paper has to be of good quality content. Okay, and one of the basic things that I noticed that a lot of foundation students do not know is when you write the name of the act, let's say you write the Companies Act. So I see a lot of you writing it like this in your SAP papers that I saw. Let's say, don't mind my handwriting. How many of you think this is the right way of writing the act? Like this. Right presentation? Absolutely not right. What is wrong in this? Capital letter. So how many of you know why do we write a capital letter? Because it looks beautiful, is it? What is the reason behind using an uppercase in the name of the act? See, this has a concept behind it. Because you people don't know, you think it's presentation. No. The thing is, when I write it like this, it is wrong. You have to write a uppercase in beginning of every act. When you quote the name of the act, it should be in uppercase. Why means? It signifies when I write companies, it does not mean the company's definition which is there in dictionary. Does it mean that definition or the definition which the act has given? The act has given. So your company does not mean the definition which is there in Cambridge dictionary. No, it means the section 2 of the Company Act has defined companies, correct? What has they defined it as? Company means any company registered under this act or any other previous company law, correct? So under definition, that is the meaning of company. Wherever I use company in this act, adura meaning enna idudha. You cannot take the dictionary meaning. Now act is, if I give this boy this duster, is this an action? Yes. But in Companies Act, does this act mean that? No, it refers to the law. So when you write in capital A, you are telling the act does not mean this action act. It means the act which is there in the law. So this is the reason when you write the Partnership Act, you have to write the partnership should be in uppercase. Act should be in uppercase. That means the partnership definition is not what you think. Now let's say a boy and a girl are in relationship. Are they a partnership? Okay, relationship, partnership, they are together, correct? Okay. All nonsense only you want to think. So does it mean that partnership here? Or a business contract here? The definition which is given in the act, this is not the exact definition, but the definition which is given in the act, that is the reason whenever you quote the act, the first letter of that should always be in an uppercase. If I see this in a lowercase, that means you do not know the concept behind that. You do not know that this act means the act which is defined in the Companies Act. Or this contract or a definition is the contract that is in the Indian Contract Act. That means I have full right to cut 1.5 marks for you. So you all ask now why I don't get full marks in all answers. These are the things that they want. As professionals, you should know. If you don't know this, tomorrow when you become an auditor, they are giving you some income tax provision and you are reading it, you do not even know this basics also. So they were like, no, you should come again after 6 months. You understand? It is not about the bigger things that you should be focusing on. In the mari kutti kutti thing will enhance your paper presentation. When he sees this, the boy or the girl or the candidate has taken an effort to write this. Abdina, he knows the meaning. He knows the act. He knows what is law. You don't have to know all the provisions of Company Act. Nobody will remember. You ask me now, section something, I'll not know. But these are the minute things. I know how to decode an act. That is enough to become an auditor. You understand? So this is the first thing I noted in a lot of your papers. You do not, some of them do it, but you think it is the presentation style. No, this is the reason behind it. If Indian Contract Act, the contract ku enna artham? நீ நினைக்கிற எல்லா அர்த்தமுமே கிடையாது. கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆக்ட்ல என்ன டெஃபினிஷன் கொடுத்திருக்கானோ அதுதான். அதுக்காக தான் கேப்ஸ்ல எல்லாமே எழுதுறோம். Okay, so this is the first thing. And second thing, I noticed in a lot of you, even if you don't, you all are very overconfident. How means, even if you don't know the section, you identify some or the other section thinking that the examiner will also not know. The worst part is examiner has an answer key in his hand. So he will definitely know what section it is. Okay, so some of you, let's say you want to quote the section 9 of the Indian Contract Act or the Companies Act, you can write as per the provisions of, and you need to always start your answer like this. See, law is any paper that you write, like when you go to intermediate, you will have an audit paper, which is theory, you will have an EIS paper. Why are this paper tough? Because you don't understand the paper. You try to somehow read, pass. First, be a little patient to understand what is the examiner expecting from you. Understand, he is not expecting you to know all these sections. Even I don't remember. None of the people who are qualified will remember all these sections by heart. Everybody will forget. But on the time, what you're presenting that day is very, very important. In that, the first thing is I saw, a lot of you write, don't start with like this. You start however you want. I have read some. You directly start writing the answer. You need to always begin with as per the provision of that particular act. Let's say as per the provision of section 9. Okay, this is fine. But if you do not know, how will you write? Like 9 or 10. You think the answer is 9 or 10, but you do not know what is the section number. What will you write? Okay, that is one way. But anyone intermediate students, some of them are sitting here. You guys are not intermediate. Okay, foundation, okay. Anybody else? If you do not know the name of the section, or if you do not know the name of the case law, you have a lot of case laws, right? Like Balfour versus Balfour, you would have read a lot of case laws. Terilana, best thing, don't quote it. This is not like your CBSE or any other board exam or like BCom exam that the examiner will also not know the answer. They will very clearly know. And if you write something wrong, see, as CA is one thing you should be very clear. If you know something, you tell. If you don't know something, tell that you don't know. I think Saravanan sir has also told this in the class, no? When you don't know something, just tell you don't know. Don't bluff that 9 or 10 will be there. Some people I saw, you just wrote 9 and 10. You're like, nee choose panikopa, I'll give you all options. I mean, that is not wrong. If you do not know, just clearly write, as per the provisions, instead of section 9, just write relevant, as per the provisions of the relevant section. As per the relevant provision, I just phrased it. As per the relevant provisions of the Companies Act, or as per the relevant provisions of the Indian Contract Act, as per the relevant provisions of the Partnership Act. If you do not know, do not quote it. But will taking an effort to memorize all of this give you extra marks? Yes. Because we'll obviously be impressed, right? If a student, there are 10 papers that I get, adla moone peda have taken the effort to at least remember the section number na, even if you have not written a very good quality answer, you have missed out 2 points. He'll be like, it's okay, he has taken effort, he might give you 1 mark extra. You understand? It's that you have to show him that there you have taken an effort. You deserve to clear that examination. You have to give him every possible aspect to make him think like, no, the students deserve to clear an examination. Okay, so if you know the section, quote it. If you do not know, don't quote it. Write it as per the relevant provisions of that particular act. Now, don't ask me if I don't know the name of the act itself, what should I do? Then you don't go to the exam. Okay, there are only 5 acts you should somehow remember. And also, like Companies Act, 2013, whichever is the relevant year only you should not write. 1956 I will write, no. Whichever, there are only 5 acts, you can take an effort to remember that, right? Section, if you can remember, well and good. I would advise remember. Because you don't have a lot of sections, at least in the foundation level. In Companies Act, total are 20 sections that you study itself, correct? And for you people, the highest weightage chapter in your foundation is the Indian Contract Act. If you haven't studied that, you have to first finish that. I see a lot of people when I go to the hostel around, you study the LLP Act for 2 hours. The LLP Act barely comes for 4 marks. And and one question will only come, and it is a direct question. And you spend 2 hours studying that act, and you leave 1 unit of the Indian Contract Act and go to the exam. How smart is that? You understand? There's no planning. What requires here is planning. I understand your syllabus is vast, but you have to decide accordingly and plan. In your foundation level, the most important chapter is the Indian Contract Act. Because a contract is the base for everything, correct? So that's why in the foundation, they have given maximum weightage to that chapter. Maximum practical questions are from that chapter only. Correct? So if this is, a lot of people ask me which is important, one thing in CA examinations, you don't have a blueprint. Like in board exam and all, we'll get, no, this chapter 3 marks will come, this chapter 5 marks will come. Like that, there's no blueprint. It is up to him. But with the trend that we have seen, which is the most important chapter, is the Indian Contract Act. And whenever you study, you please try to ask yourself, are you understanding the concept behind an act? Okay, it's not just here, just by memorizing the law, will you get full marks? No. You have to take an effort to at least understand, like when they say something in that act, let's say contract na idna, are you able to visualize it? Are you able to understand, practically relate to it? Law requires a lot of examples. If you haven't noted down the examples in the class that your faculties will be telling, they'll of course be telling a lot of examples. Like the contract act and all, they'll be quoting a lot of examples over. So you should try to note down all of that examples. That will help you to recollect the provision very easily, which I see a lot of you don't do in your class. You just simply sit and listen to him. No, you have to take running notes. If you haven't, then at least do it from now. Okay? So these are the first 2 things. Important, you have to write uppercase in all the beginning of all the acts, and also if you do not know the provisions, do not quote it. And one more thing I saw, when some of you quote the case law. Okay? Let's say there's a case law, Balfour versus Balfour. Okay, you know this case law, this wife had filed a complaint against her husband. Everybody knows, no? Very classic story. So, okay, so in this there are 2 characters always. Like we say CSK versus, you know versus means, right? This person against this person. You know CSK versus MI, correct? CSK versus MI. Like that, Balfour versus Balfour. Okay, now in this, what I see is, in this, because both of them have the same surname, because it is wife against the husband, correct? You know this case law, right? How many of you know this? All of you know, right? The wife, the husband will promise the wife that I'll send you some money every month or something, then he'll fail to do so, she'll file a complaint against him. Here, because their surname is same, okay. If you interchange also, no problem. Let's say in some other this, it is A versus B, is the case law. Can I write it like this? Will it mean the same? Why? Same only, no, both parties have written, no, what is wrong? Anyone who is like, I know the reason. Same only, no, A again is fighting with B. What is the problem if I switch and write? CSK versus MI, MI versus CSK, what's the difference? Anyway, both are only going to contest, correct? Anyone? At least give it a try, no? You want to discuss with him, why don't you discuss with us? You want to try? You don't want to try. Okay, so basically, see, basically you know something. The thing I observed all of you, உனக்கு ஏதோ தெரியும் ஆனா அது என்னன்னு தெரியாது. அந்த மாதிரி கரெக்ட்டா ஏதோ கேட்டிருக்க ஆனா என்னன்னு தெரியாது. So basically is this first party is usually the plaintiff. Matlab the person who has filed a case. And the second party is a defendant. Now let's say I and he has a contract and I promise him to give 10,000 rupees the next year. Okay, but the next year I have not given him 10,000 rupees. So he files a case against me. Who is filing the case? Correct, he. So he is the plaintiff. And who am I? The defendant. So always whose name will come first? Who has filed the case? So plaintiff versus defendant. So you can't switch it. The meaning itself will change, correct? So that is the reason you have to write it. So some of the students, they know the 2 parties, but they know who versus who. So they think, like that you will write. But no, they'll cut marks. அப்படினா உனக்கு கேஸ் லாவே தெரியல நீ தப்பா புரிஞ்சிட்டு இருக்கேன்னு அவன் நினைச்ச நீ உல்டாவா எல்லாத்தையும் புரிஞ்சிட்டு இருக்க அப்படி நினைச்சு he'll cut your marks. So that's the reason I tell, until you're 100% sure, do not quote it. You understand? Who is the first party called as? Plaintiff. And the second party is the defendant. The plaintiff is the person who files the complaint or who is trying to protect himself. Who's filed the complaint. And the second party, the defendant, is the one who will defend. Defendant name itself is understandable, correct? So you understand? So whenever you write the case law also, when you copy from the book or something, from your law material or something, you have to copy it as such. Because if you change, then the entire meaning of that meaning of that case law will change. Okay, the parties will switch. So don't do this. This is the second mistake that I saw. And other than that, basically in your law paper, there are 3 types of question. You all might be knowing this. The first, they ask you a direct question. That is, they'll not ask this type of question at all, but what is contract? Like they'll never ask this, but still I'm just telling. If they ask you what is contract, what is consideration, or you people have sale of goods act test tomorrow, right? So there's one phrase in that, nemo dat qua, you know that? So they will ask you to explain that phrase and all of the Latin maxim. They'll ask you to explain that. That and all is direct question. So first you can either have a direct question in your law paper, otherwise you will have a question called case study based question, which nobody likes. Right? Because they like big stories for 2 pages and then write, what is your opinion? I was like, I don't have an opinion. Correct? So that is all of our problem. So the second one is called a case study based question. And there's one more which they ask called a differentiation, like differentiate between this and that, like hire, purchase and sale or something like that. Correct? So next is a differentiation type question. So broadly, you don't have MCQs. Correct? You don't have MCQs in the foundation level. So basically you have in theory these 3 types of question. Now for a direct question, how should you present? For a case study, how should you present? And for a differentiation type question, how should you present? For a differentiation type question, one thing I saw all of you is, you write in paragraphs. First of all, you should not write any answer in paragraph format. You should write all the answers, maximum possible, write in bullets. When you write in paragraph is when you want to make stories. Correct? We all write in paragraph when we don't know what to write. We try to make up some or the other answer with whatever we know. So never write it in paragraph, always write it as pointers. And when you write a differentiation based question, you should always, there should be, how many columns in a differentiation based questions? Very good. There should be 3 columns. The first column is the basis column. If this column is not there in the answer, you are tend to lose marks. Because it makes more easier. You understand now that examiner gets barely, let's say 250 rupees to correct your paper. Will he be interested in correcting your paper? Does he know you? Like I am the examiner. Do I know him personally? No. He passes or fail, I don't really care. For me, for one paper, 250 rupees, I'll finish and go. It's for me on how many papers I correct and not on that individual student. So if you try to give him less and less work, he'll try to give you more and more mark. If you try to write shabby, if you write shabby answers, or you are changing the question numbers and all in writing and giving him lot of work, he will do a simple revenge, cut marks everywhere. Standard. So try to make his work maximum easier. And in a differentiation question, if you write basis, like let's say first meaning and then something else, let's say any differentiation question you take up, like in a sale of goods act, what are the common differentiation that comes? Hire purchase versus sales, they ask you, right? So Adhika, what is hire purchase? What is sales? What is the nature of this contract? What is the nature of that contract? And the basis column, basically it should be like this. And always write differentiation question in tabular. I still see people writing paragraph. 1 page they'll write full hire purchase, 1 page they'll write sales. That and all, the person who's correcting will really get annoyed. Instead, if you can just make a tabular column and just make 3 columns. First column, write basis. Basis should be only 1 line. Okay, don't write paragraphs here. Like let's say meaning, nature of contract. And it should be only one line. He should understand what you're trying to communicate. He will tick on this and go. But if you don't write this column, he has to read this, correct? And we would have bluffed inside. He'll get opportunity to cut marks. So instead what you do smart things. Here if you write, this is easier to remember and learn also. This டக்குன்னு எழுதிட்டு போய்டு அவன் இத பார்த்து டிக் பண்ணிடுவான். நீ அவனுக்கு ஆப்பர்சூனிட்டி கொடுக்கற அவன் உள்ள படிக்கறானா நீ கிராமர் தப்பா எழுதிருப்ப கான்ட்ராக்ட்க்கு பதிலா அக்ரிமென்ட்னு தெரியாம எழுதிருப்ப ஏதோ எழுதிருப்ப கரெக்ட்டா you giving him opportunities to cut marks. Don't do that. Just write the basis column. And basis column also, whatever you think you should not write, it should be there in your book. Okay, so whenever you take an effort, you should have basically how you should prepare for a law paper is more than your class notes. You should have 2 to 3 pages, a separate small diary or something like that. The first case laws, all the acts that is there, no, in all of that, whatever case laws they have stated, you have to note it down. And separate, you should have 1 more page where you quote all the sections. At least if you are not able to remember all the sections, at least the important sections of that particular act, you should remember. Okay, then the important definitions. Like when you study the Indian Contract Act, you cannot go to the examination without knowing the definition of consideration. You cannot go to the examination without knowing the example of contract, agreement. This and all are basics. Correct? So, idella or paper la ezhudi vechikkanum. So this and all will enhance your marks. எங்கேயாவது அந்த opportunity கிடைக்குதா, quote that definition. And also I noticed one more thing. So this is clear for you, differentiation type. So how many columns you'll write? 3 columns. You try to do this in your SAP and model itself. I see a lot of people, you listen to a lot of YouTube videos where they tell all of this. You're like, Ama, idu correct dana, but you never take an effort to apply it. Correct? You do like, in the day of my main exam, I'll do it. No. Now you do it and then only you'll see, oh, you're not, you points naabagam irukka, ana unak basis la marandhu poidudhu. That and all you will get to know only when you try to apply it in your SAP or model examinations. That's the reason these examinations, pre-model or before you write the ICA examination, it is mandatory that you should write a pre-model. Because then only you'll get an idea, time management and all. Because all of you, some of you are part of this COVID batch. So you are not even used to writing the answers. For you, even if you know the concept, you're struggling with time management. And law is one such paper because law has one more additional paper called BCR. That also we'll be touching upon a little bit. So for you, in the paper, in the section ku evlo time kodukonu, in the section ku evlo time kodukonu, you are getting confused. We see a lot of people who are not attempting even the 100 marks fully. You attend for 70 marks or 60 marks or either section. No. CA exam la 100 mark attempt panale 60 varade. Nee attend panade 60 mark dana, it's not going to work out. No matter how much your hand pains, it has to, you have to write the 100 marks ka paper. No matter, you don't just write something. For that you cannot bluff, but you need to try to complete the paper. For that you need to write model exams. Okay, so we'll be touching upon that as well. But the differentiation part is clear. If I see from next exams, I hope I would see the 3 columns in your answer. That makes it more better. So take an effort to remember this. Because idu naabagam vandichinaale idu edha kada adichidalam. Iduve theriyala, and this is such an easy thing. Avan vandu na sonna mari idu correct pannite he'll move on. Nee ulla avanku nee evlokku evlo unoda answer avana padikka vidriyo avlokku avlo you are giving him an opportunity to cut marks. Because you would have made some grammatical mistakes, correct? Or you would have made இந்த மாதிரி நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி கான்ட்ராக்ட் தெரியாம அக்ரிமெண்ட் எழுதிருப்பேன், which is major mistake. உனக்கு அது வந்து டக்குன்னு பதட்டத்துல ஏதோ எழுதிட்டேன். For you it's like that, but for him it's an opportunity to cut marks. So never do that. Okay, so அவனுக்கு எவ்வளோக்கு எவ்வளோ பியூட்டிஃபுல்லாக காட்டிட்டு ஆமாம் நான் கரெக்டாக தான் எழுதிருப்பேன் நீ அடுத்த பேஜ்க்கு போன்னு ட்ரை டு, he should spend minimum time in your paper. That should be your effort. Okay. And one more thing, I saw a lot of you quoting the definitions of the act. You are writing like, let's say definition of company இப்போ எழுதுனா, you are writing like this. Company, is this correct? You are either, I saw some of your paper, it was like this, or company / and you start writing. Is this correct? No. Why is this not correct, anybody? Definition in school also we'll write like this only, no? Company defined as, we used to get full marks. Why is this wrong now? Again, you will start talking among yourself. Anybody who knows the answer, even if it's wrong, it's okay. None of you? Okay, so basically, definitions are of 2 types. I don't know how many of you know this. Anybody knows the 2 types of definition in the act? In law, we have 2 types per definition. Theriyada? One is called the exhaustive. If definitions we can divide it into 2 parts. Okay, one is called the exhaustive definition, and one is called the inclusive. Have you heard about this at least? Oh, you once I say like eduthu kodukano. Okay, what is exhaustive definition? Yeah, somebody said it, I could hear. Exhaustive definition is what? Yeah, it starts with means. Appadina adu eludunadukku thavara there is nothing else. There is no scope outside. But what is an inclusive definition? Can you give me an example of exhaustive first? Anyone? So many definitions you are studying in section 2 and all, no? Yeah, correct. Somebody said. I have to find out who is telling me. My camera uncle is finding for me. Who company means a company itself is an exhaustive or inclusive? Exhaustive, because means a company. Appadina idukku vella vera eda definition irka illa. A company na, it should be a company registered under the Companies Act or any other previous company law. That means 1956 la irkalam, illati 2013 la irkalam, illati adukku munadi edavadhu or Companies Act la kuda irkalam. But idha thavara vera edavadhu company ah irka mudiyuma? Kadayadu. So is a foreign company a company? Company under the Companies Act. See, this is where you understand, because the company definition says registered under this act. Is a foreign company registered under this act? No. So is it a company as per the Companies Act? Okay, so you understand. In exhaustive definition, it will always start with means. And an inclusive definition, how does it start with? Inclusive definition. The word itself will tell you. You can easily guess. Includes. Correct? Like we say books or papers. I don't know, in Companies Act there is one. We use the term books or papers. So what does books or papers include? So they'll give you a list of items. So is that it, or any other item can also come? Any other item can also come. So when you write it like this, is defined as and all, is it given in the law? Like this? No. So he will simply cut your marks. So you should not write companies defined as, or the meaning of the company is, or company slash. Company means as definition should be quoted from the act as such. No discretion there. Right? So either, and you see any act, whether it's the Companies Act, Indian Contract Act, any act, it will always start with either means or includes. It will not start with anything else. Okay, sometimes in Contract Act, the phrasing will be different. But otherwise, majority definitions will start with either means or includes. So definitions are of two types, exhaustive or inclusive. Okay, so this is one thing that I wanted to add upon, because I saw a lot of your papers, you are writing like this and all defined. So you understand, even if you quote the right definition, why are you losing marks? Because you are writing it like this. So knowing the content is one thing. How you present it is another trick. So that's what we are discussing here. And then I see a lot of you do not write in even black pen. So we had one of our students in the previous summer, the attempt. He went to the main examination, wrote his entire examination, his blue pen and came. And he's asking, will the ICI correct? Will he correct? Obviously no. Correct? So these are the things that you should not be doing. Especially at a professional level examination, because there's no discretion given to anybody. Whoever you are, the rule must be followed. So you're only allowed to use it. Why I'm telling these basic things also? Because we've seen students making such silly mistakes, writing with a blue pen and coming when it is clearly quoted that you have to use a black ballpoint pen. Okay, or you can use a pencil for underlining. And I see a lot of you write first of all in paragraphs, you don't even take an effort to underline at least the keywords. Which is again, now Amma ukkandu thedano nee and the keyword ezhudirkiya illaya, and he'll get irritated. He'll just tell like standard 5 mark question 2 mark போட்டுட்டு போங்க அவ்வளவுதான். You would have written all points, but you did not make an effort to underline. So if you write in paragraph, it's always a trouble. Write it in pointers. Correct? So these are the things that I wanted to add. These are some very peculiar things which I noticed which you people are making as a mistake, which you should not. This enhances your professionalism. Right? இப்போ உனக்கு அந்த இது அப்பர் கேஸ்ல ஏன் எழுதுறோம் தெரியுது உனக்கு வந்து, because when he sees in every answer you are repeating it, that means a student will not do that without knowing. Now because you people did not know, நீ ஒரு questionக்கு பண்ணுவ, first questionக்கு வந்து will always be very energetic during the examination. We'll try to write it maximum neat, and as the paper gradually goes, your curve also keeps going down. First you will write the question that you know 100% section number la, then அந்த question தான் ஆரம்பிப்பேன். போக போக ஆன்சரே என்னன்னு தெரியாது, கதையா எழுத ஆரம்பிச்சிடுறேன். So that is also one more thing that you can play with the examiner. What I see a lot of students have this trend, like you always write the question that you know very well first, then you write the question that you don't know that much, then you try to make stories in some answers, and that's how your paper goes. So the examiner is already with a mindset that you will write like this and all. So let's say for the first question, for 5 marks, let's take for an example, hypothetically, all questions are 5 marks. So first question, because you've written it very well, quoted the section number and all of that, he's given you 4 out of 5. Next answer he reads, it is little less than the previous, the quality of the content. So he'll give you, let's say 3. அதுக்கப்புறம் அடுத்த ஆன்சர் நீ அதோட கம்மியா எழுதிக்க. ஸோ ஹி கெட்ஸ் த ட்ரெண்ட். அப்படின்னா இந்த பையன் போக போக தெரியாத ஏதோ கதை தான் அடிச்சிருக்கான்னு இந்த லாஸ்ட் ஹில் ஸ்டார்ட் புட்டிங் கிராஸ் ஃபார் எவ்ரி திங். ஸோ யூ ஷுட் பிளே வித் த எக்ஸாமினர். ஹவு மீன்ஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் யூ ஷுட் ரைட் த கொஸ்டின் தட் யூ ஆர் 100% sure. Because in the beginning itself you can't cut in and all right. So first question should be always pick up a direct question usually, or a differentiation question. ஸோ அவனுக்கு ரொம்ப ஈஸியாக இருக்கும் கரெக்ட் பண்ணுறது. கரெக்டாக? ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி இட் டிபெண்ட்ஸ். அந்த பேப்பரில் உனக்கு வரணும், யூ ஷுட் நோ த ஆன்சர் அண்ட் ஆல் ஆஃப் தட். த சீக்வன்சிங் ஷுட் பி தேர். யூ ஷுட் நோ த ஆன்சர் ஃபார் ஆல் த சப் questions that are being asked. That's how you have to pick the questions. Okay, but if you have picked a question, the first answer should always be very beautiful. The second, don't go try to follow this trend. எப்படி பண்ணா first question நல்லா தெரியும்ல அதை எழுதிடு. Second question அவ்வளோ நல்லா தெரியாததை எழுது. அதுக்கப்புறம் நல்லா தெரிஞ்சதை எழுது. He'll also be confused. He'll be like, okay, maybe this child knows, but he did not write it properly. So he's not setting a pattern in his head. கரெக்டாக நீ இப்படி தான் எழுதுவேங்கிற பேட்டர்ன் அவனுக்கு செட் பண்ண விடாது. So that what he'll do, initially he'll give you a lot of marks. போக 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 he'll start reducing all the marks. யூ அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட்? அந்த மாதிரி அவனை பேட்டர்ன் செட் பண்ண விடாது. இப்போ எப்படி ஐபிஎல் கேம் and all that Dhoni and all, you can't even predict. ஏதோ first all duck will go, then he'll start hitting suddenly. So you cannot predict his pattern. How you confuse the bowler, that's how you need to confuse that examiner. Correct? If you keep writing that trend, first he'll give you full marks. Let's say 4.5. 4 and all to get is, you should, a person who gets 4.5 and all, he has, in the minute things எல்லாம் கூட அவன்லாம் கரெக்டாக பண்ணியிருப்பான். Okay, so why you always do not get, see the theory paper, they'll not give you full marks for all of that except your answer is exceptionally good. It's better than even the answer key mari. Abdina, they'll give you 5 on 5. Otherwise, they tend to reduce some marks, which is normal in a theory paper, correct? But you should try to fetch the maximum marks. So don't try to give him a pattern. That is the first important point. A lot of students don't know this. But all the people who score a lot, that's the toppers or the people who get AIRs, they do this. Because they try to confuse him. ஏன்னா இந்த கொஸ்டின் கரெக்டாக எழுதியிருக்கான், அடுத்த கொஸ்டின் கொஞ்சம் ஒரு மாதிரியாக எழுதியிருக்கான், ஏதோ ஒரு 2 பாயிண்ட் மிஸ் பண்ணிட்டா, தேர்ட் கொஸ்டினில் என்ன திரும்பி ஃபுல்லாக கரெக்டாக எழுதியிருக்கா. அப்படின்னா மேபி அவனுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும், அந்த டைமில் மறந்துருப்பான், இல்லாட்டி இந்த கொஸ்டினை கடைசியாக எழுதியிருப்பான், அதனால இப்படி பண்ணிட்டான், இல்லாட்டி அவனுக்கு தெரியும் தான் அப்படின்னு அந்த எக்ஸாமினர் நினச்சி he'll give him the suitable marks. You understand? Try to do that. And second is a case study based question. Now a lot of you, I see your case study based questions presentations are only things that needs a lot of improvement, because you don't know, first of all, how do you write a case study based question? Anyone? Again you will start talking among yourself. Are there anyone just stand and tell, no, at least 4 things you will write in a case study based question? Any girls? Boys are like appa and no touch. Girls, anybody? Yeah. Provision, analysis and conclusion. Is there anything else that we can write? Relevant case laws. Yeah, that comes under provisions. Anything else as a major? Idha irukonu abdinu. Facts of the case. So basically how does this work is, if let's say this is my paper. Okay. Are you guys able to see? Yeah. And if you have to attempt a case study based question. First thing you will write is facts of the case. What will you write in the facts of the case? I see a lot of people, you copy as such that question in the facts of the case. Is that what you are supposed to do? Yes sir. Adava panno. What are you supposed to write in the facts of the case? Anyone? Edha kettalu neutral. You tell. At least try na. You would have seen all previous year papers and all, you have written something. No, just give it a try. Sorry? Question. Okay. Sorry? Point wise you will write the question. Okay, good try. Anybody else? What will you write exactly in the facts of the case? Or why do we write the facts of the case? Already he has given the question. He can go and read it. No. Why is he telling you to write facts again? Is he mad? Anyone? Why do you write the facts of the case? Arey, you want me to pick you up? I don't want to do that. I don't like it. You want to give it a try? Anybody? None of you know. Why do you write facts of the case? Okay, so basically, why we write, see, he's not mad as an examiner to tell you to write the question again. Correct? He wants to know, now case study and all is for 1 full page. He wants to test whether after reading that 1 page, you are able to understand what is he asking them. அந்த கேஸ் ஸ்டடிலாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஃபஸ்ட்டு சிலதெல்லாம் கேஸ் ஸ்டடி படிக்கும் போது கேஸ் ஸ்டடிக்கும் அவங்க கேட்ட கொஸ்டினுக்கும் ரெலவென்ஸே இருக்காது. படிச்சுட்டே இருக்கும்போது சேல் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் மாதிரியே இருக்கும். அப்புறம் பார்த்தா ஏதோ கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆக்ட் பற்றி ஏதாவது கேட்டுருவான். So he wants you to first, when he tells you to write the facts of the case, he is not expecting you to copy the question as such. Otherwise, why is he taken 20 pages to print that question paper? He does not want you to copy the question. He wants you to pick the key. அவன் என்ன கேட்க வராங்க அது உனக்கு புரிஞ்சிருக்கா அப்படிங்கிறது. See how intelligent the examiner are. For example, if you write the facts of the case itself wrong, அப்படின்னா உனக்கு கொஸ்டினே புரியலன்னு அர்த்தம். அவன் என்ன கேட்க வரானே புரியல. அப்போ அவன் இதெல்லாம் படிக்கவே மாட்டான். உனக்கு கொஸ்டினே புரியல, அப்போ நீ எழுதிருக்க ஆன்சர் கரெக்டாக இருக்கும். It will be irrelevant. He is not interested to read. So he is saving his time. So you should take effort. That's why we tell a lot of CA students are always wanting to write the answer before reading the question. In CA exams and all, twist will always be in the last line. Sometimes they will tell you a case study which is of 1.5 pages. In the last they will tell different, they'll just directly give you the expectation, like what is இது. அதுக்கு நீ அவ்வளோ கேஸ் ஸ்டடி பெருசாக படிச்சிருக்கணுன்ற அவசியமே கிடையாது. In some questions and all, if you have seen. If anybody has seen the previous year paper, you will know all of this. You will study 1.5 whole page, sit and study, waste your time, and then directly you would have asked the question. ஆர் நீ படிச்சுட்டே இருக்கும் போது அவன் வந்து எப்படி பில்ட் பண்ணுவானா, he will give you all the relevant provision of the Indian Contract Act கொடுத்துருப்பான். ஸோ நீ எந்த லைனில் யோசிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சு, இந்தியன் கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆக்ட் யூனிட் 1ல இது இருந்தது, இதை சொல்ல வரேன் அப்படியே யோசிச்சு கடைசியில் சேல் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் ஆக்ட் இதில் என்ன ப்ரொவிஷன்ஸ், ரைட் த ரெலவென்ட் ப்ரொவிஷன் வா. யூ வில் பி லைக் கன்ஃபியூஸ்ட். ஸோ இஸ் ட்ரைங் டு first attack your psychology. Correct? Because you have wasted 1.5 hours thinking about the Indian Contract Act, revising the point of Indian Contract Act, but his question is sale of goods. So when you read the last line, write the treatment of this as per the provisions of Sale of Goods Act, you are gali. First of all, as morale will get hit, adha avanoda focus. So first எப்போமே case study based question எடுத்தோனே question ஓட கடைசி லைன் படிக்கணும். சில டைம் அங்கே டிரெக்டா வாட் இஸ்லாம் கேட்டுருவான். அப்போ நீ உட்காந்து 1.5 பேஜ் படிக்கவே தேவையில்லை. So that is the reason that 15 minutes is very, 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 very important. It is a game changer, Anna. It is a game changer. But that time only you will be sharpening your pencil or looking at who and all are from KS Academy around that examination hall, saying hi to him, see whether he is scared after seeing the question paper. Are you both in the same boat? No need to do all of that. That 15 minutes is going to change your game if you approach it perfectly. Correct? That time you should make an effort to decide which question are you going to attempt. இப்போ வந்து CA எக்ஸாமில் எப்படின்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின் பார்ப்பேன், அது கம்பல்சரி கொஸ்டின். சரி, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின் தான் வந்து இதில் தான் எதுவுமே தெரியலங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கும். செகண்ட் கொஸ்டின் வில் கோ, இதில் A பார்ட் தெரியும், B தெரியாது, C தெரியாது, D ஓரளவுக்கு தெரியும். ஸோ இதை அட்டென்ட் பண்ணுமா கூடாதானோ யூ வில் கெட் கன்ஃபியூஸ்ட். ஸோ தட் 15 minutes you should use in deciding which, like you have 6 questions in the examination, correct? Out of which 5 you have to attempt. So deciding which are those 5 is very, very important. Because அவன் எப்படி கொடுத்துருப்பானா, எல்லாமே ஈஸியாக இருக்கிற மாதிரிலாம் கொடுத்துருக்க மாட்டான். அந்த செக்ஷன்லே he will try to make you confused. That and all is, see, as auditors, if I ask you what is consideration, tell what are the different types of contract, this and all everybody will know. He wants to know whether sitting under that pressure in 3 hours, are you able to take an intelligent decision on which 4-5 questions you have to attend. அது ஒன்னால டிசைட் பண்ண முடியுதா? Why are they keeping in CA and all? If you write group 1 and group 2 and inter, they are having 15-16 days continuous examination. அதுக்கு நம்ம CBSE லலாம் when I was writing my board exam, we used to have 3 days holiday, 5 days holiday for economics paper and all. Here there's no holiday. Continuously every day you have to write. Why means, are you able to deal with pressure? Nobody wants to know how intelligent you are here. Because we all know whatever you study, if I ask you some question in law, or if you ask me some question in EIS audit and all, I would have forgotten. So it is not about your content, it is about whether you have the attitude to attempt such competitive examinations. In all sort of professional examination, what they see, in IAS and all, once they even clear their examination, they have something like an interview, you know. They reject a lot of people in that only. Why? Because they don't want people, when you become administrative officers or you go to IFS post and all, they don't want people who know to memorize the book. They want people who know to take decisions. அந்த அங்கே உட்காந்து அந்த 3 மணி நேரம் ப்ரெஷரில் இந்த 5 கொஷின் எடுத்தால் தான் நம்மளால் அட்டெம்ப்ட் பண்ண முடியும். இந்த கொஷினில் வந்து இந்த செக்ஷனில் நிறைய டிரெக்ட் கொஷின் கேட்டிருக்கா, இது எடுக்கலாம், அதெல்லாம் நீ யோசிச்சதே கிடையாது. இப்போ சிலதுல தான் அவன் என்ன பண்ணுவான்னா ட்ரிக்கியாக அதில் 2 டிரெக்ட் கொஷின் கொடுத்துருப்பான். டிரெக்ட் கொஷினா உனக்கு டைம் சேவ், நீ கேஸ் ஸ்டடி உட்காந்து படிச்சினா உனக்கு நிறைய டைம் கன்சியூம் ஆகும். ஆனால் அவன் என்ன பண்ணியிருப்பான்னா, இந்த டிரெக்ட் கொஷினை வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வில் கிவ் யூ ஃபுல் பேஜ் ஆஃப் கேஸ் ஸ்டடி. லெட்ஸ் சே he has question number 1. That is compulsory. You know or you don't know, it is your fate. You have to attend that question. Correct? Question number 2 and 6 varaiku you have to decide now which 4 questions should I take up. Let's say question 2 la enna pannuvaana, first வந்து he'll ask you a very easy question. So நீ வந்து இந்த question தான் எடுக்கறோம் அப்படினு இத எழுத ஆரம்பிச்சுட. அதுக்கு பாத்தீனா அதுல வந்து let's say A B C D னு செக்ஷன் இருக்கு. இத பார்த்தோனே you will decide, like இதுல வந்து let's say what they have asked, like differentiate between something கேட்டிருக்கான். You will obviously, all of us will study differentiation and go, so you'll be like this question only we have to pick da அப்படினு போட்டு எழுத ஆரம்பிச்சுட. When you see, then after that, this is case study, this is case study, this is case study, and this is, you don't know what is the answer, for this you are guessing what is the answer, for this also you are guessing what is the answer. You understand? For one 4 mark you are losing your entire 10 marks. This is what his strategy is. So நீ ஃபர்ஸ்டே பார்த்துப்பா இதுதான் லாலிபாப்னு போய் எடுத்த பத்தியா, it is not lollipop. He tried to fool you. So you have to take that 15 minutes to read and understand which question to take. In writing, especially in BCR, why do you lose time? You take up writings like that, notice writing or something like that. அதுக்கு பதிலா ப்ரெஸ்ஸி எல்லாம் எடுக்கலாம். ஏன்னா ப்ரெஸ்ஸி லெட்டர் ரைட்டிங்ல ஃபார்மேட்கே மார்க்ஸ். கரெக்டா? இப்போ நீ வேற ஏதாவது டிஃபிகல்ட்டாக எடுத்தினா, ஃபார் லெட்டர் ரைட்டிங் ஆல்சோ இஸ் நாட் தட் அட்வைசபிள், பிகாஸ் லெந்தியாக எழுதணும். ஆனால் எதுவுமே தெரியலனா லெட்டர் ரைட்டிங் இஸ் அட்வைசபிள், பிகாஸ் ஃபார்மேட்க்கு 3 மார்க் இருக்கு. இந்த மாதிரி யூ ஹேவ் டு சிட் தேர் அண்ட் டிசைட் எதை எடுக்கலாம். இப்போ ஸ்ப்ரெஸ்ஸி நோட்டீஸ்ல கம்பேரிட்டிவாக குட்டியாக எழுதினா போதும். And what you pick up these sections of article writing some people take. That is the most stupidest thing to do in examination. Because first you have to think that topic பத்தி நம்மளுக்கு ஏதாவது தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணும். அதை ஒரு பேஜ் எழுதுறது கண்டென்ட் ஏதாவது வரணும். கரெக்டாக அதில் ஃபார்மேட்டுக்கு மார்க் இருக்கு ஆர்டிகல் ரைட்டிங்கில் கிடையாது. ஆர்டிகல் ரைட்டிங்கில் என்ன ஃபார்மேட் ஹெட்டிங் எழுத வேண்டியது ஒரு பேராகிராஃப். அதுக்கு தேர்ஸ் நோ மார்க் ஃபார் ஃபார்மேட் ஆல்சோ, வேஸ்ட் ஆஃப் யோர் டைம். ஸோ ஆர்டிகல்லாம் வந்தால் எடுக்கவே கூடாது எக்ஸப்ட் யூ டோன்ட் ஹேவ் எனி அதர் ஆப்ஷன். வேறு எதுவுமே எனக்கு தெரியல. இப்போ ப்ரெஸ்ஸிலாம் அவன் என்ன கேட்க வரானே எனக்கு புரியலன்னா நான் எப்படி ப்ரெஸ்ஸி அட்டென்ட் பண்ணுவேன்? ஸோ அப்போ தான் ஆர்டிக்கல் எடுக்கணுமே தவிர தட் அண்ட் ஆல் ஷுட் பி லாஸ்ட் ஆர்டிக்கல். இதெல்லாம் லாஸ்ட் ரிசார்ட். எதுவுமே தெரியல அட்டென்ட் பண்ணி தான் ஆகணும்னா யூ ஹேவ் டு டேக் அப் ஆர்டிகல்ஸ். ஸோ தீஸ் ஆர் தி திங்ஸ் தட் யூ ஷுட் சிட் இன் தட் எக்ஸாமினேஷன் அண்ட் டிசைட் and not looking at what he is doing, she is doing. That 3 hours are very, very crucial. And what a lot of students do is, first day ponone, in that first sheet they will give you where to fill the information. In that you will make a mistake. You will write the roll number longly, then begging to that invigilator, can we have extra sheet? அவனும் அப்பதான் பெரிய அவன் தான் பிரைம் மினிஸ்டர் ஆஃப் இந்தியா மாதிரி வந்து உனக்கு அட்வைஸ்லாம் கொடுத்துன்னு இருப்பான். உனக்கே டைம் இஸ் ரன்னிங் அவுட். ஸோ தட் 15 minutes. And one more thing, a lot of people don't know, like when you used to write your board exam, உனக்கு தனியாகவே 15 நிமிஷம் இந்த இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்லாம் ஃபில் பண்ணதுக்கு கொடுப்பாங்க. இங்கே அப்படிலாம் கிடையாது. அந்த 3 மணி நேரம் ஆரம்பித்தோடனே அதில் தான் நீ எல்லாமே பண்ணும். Correct? So when I went first time for my examination, I did not know that. Because in our CBSE and all, they'll tell us to fill that information for 15 minutes. Then that invigilator will go bench by bench and check whether what we have filled is correct. Here there's nothing like that. If you fill it wrong, that's it. Adichi eludu. So the thing is, basically you cannot make a mistake. And a lot of students, what they do is, even what I did in my examination was, you have 6 questions, correct, in your theory papers, in which you have to tick any 5. Okay, and there's one thing that you have to tick. What you have attended in the first page, correct? Have you seen that? After you fill your details, you have to tick that. So what I did in my accounts or in my law examination, we had actually first law examination. Because of some strike or something like that, our examination was postponed. So the first examination we wrote was law. So in that, because I was the COVID batch, I did my foundation fully online. I wrote all SAP and model online. So what I did was, in the model exam, we won't take an effort to tick all of that. First page, we used to just simply write. So what I did in the exam was, I forgot to fill that first page. First page, na tick pandradha na maranditen. And it's not that mandatory to do that. Even if you don't do, the people who are reviewing your paper, avangale panniduvanga. But I did not know this. So when I went for my next examination, which was accountancy, I was that day only very porupa reading that first page and all. So then I remember, oh shit, we forgot to fill this in the law examination. So there was this one girl opposite to me. I asked her, do you know whether this is compulsory? She was like, ama, idu compulsory. Idu tick pannana paper evaluate panna matanga. Appove gali. This was 5 minutes before me entering my accounts examination. And the bag எல்லாம் வைக்கிறதுக்கு வெளில போகல. அப்போ நான் சும்மா கேட்டேன், do you know, நான் இது மறந்துட்டேன். She was like, no, this is my second attempt. In first attempt, I did not do that only. Just imagine, the 5 minutes before entering the examination, and she tells me. So I was like, எப்படி இருந்தாலும் கரெக்ட் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. CA எக்ஸாமில் வேறு ஒரு பேப்பர் போச்சுன்னா எல்லாமே போச்சு. அப்போ மேலே எப்படி எக்ஸாம்? I started thinking that and all. So for the first 30 minutes, I did no problem in my accounts paper because of this. So அந்த மாதிரி குட்டி விஷயமுமே, then what I did was, this was something that I learned. Then only I knew that it was not mandatory. Somehow I wrote the paper, but I was in that mindset, I wasted so much of time. Because when somebody tells you like, no, that is the reason I'm coming for this next attempt, how will you feel? Like then I was like, mine is gone. That I was thinking, mele eppadi eludala and all of that. Oh my God, that was an experience. So after that, when I wrote each and every of my inter, SAP and model, I made sure I spent 10 minutes filling that first page only. Because you don't have to make a mistake. Correct? That 3 hours is like a game. Okay, you cannot fumble even once. If you fumble, the cost is 6 months. So they will not care. They want perfection. They'll be like, ஒரு ப்ரொஃபஷனலா வந்துட்டு ஒரு பிளாக் பென்ல தான் எக்ஸாம் எழுதணும்னு கூட உன்னால ஃபாலோ பண்ண முடியாதுன்னா, you don't deserve. You come next year. இதெல்லாம் கத்துட்டு வா அப்படின்ற மாதிரி. நீ ஒரு ப்ரொஃபஷனலா வந்துட்டு ஒரு ஆக்டுக்கு இதுதான் அர்த்தம், அதை கேப்ஸ்ல அப்பர் கேஸ்ல ஏன் எழுதுறோன்னு கூட தெரியலனா, நாளைக்கு நீ ஒரு ஆடிட்டரா எப்படி ஒரு ஆக்டை டீகோட் பண்ணுவ? No need. You come after 6 months. After every May, there's a November. After every November, that is a May. There's a May. That is the story. So why they focus on your professionalism? They do not focus more on your, because everybody knows you will tend to forget. That too when you come to intern or audit and இன்னைக்கு படிச்சா நாளைக்கு இதெல்லாம் நேத்து சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்களா அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கும். So obviously you'll tend to forget, but these are the things that will enhance your performance. Deciding which question to attend and never ever leave anything and go. I see a lot of people, you leave units and go. That this unit is not important. No. If you think this unit is not important, he will think that unit is the most important. So never ever miss. And you should also prioritize which should study. இப்போ LLP Actல direct question மட்டும் தான் கேட்பான்னு எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும். கரெக்டா? They can also ask case study, but with the trend, what they have asked, all direct questions only. So will you spend reading 2 hours or 3 hours or let's say half a day for 5 marks? No, instead you have to make sure you read all the 6 units of the Indian Contract Act, because that's one of the most important. Okay, and writing practice is something that has no substitute. If you do not write and practice, you will fumble in theory papers. Accounts and all, I see a lot of people, you audit whether he has done correctly in the ISM. He has done correctly. Why are you sitting and auditing? You have to work out that sum. Because when you do know, everything will look like, but when you write in the examination, you will not be able to recollect which is the next step. Because you have just audited the accounts and law and all. Every day at least 2 questions you have to write. Even if many of you haven't, does anybody do that writing practice? Great, none of you do. Like, you can just raise your hands. How many of you do? If you don't do, you have to start writing at least 2 questions a day. And do not expect your answers to be perfect. Because it is not perfect, that's why we are doing writing practice. But let's say if he writes, give him for review and try to find out what are the mistakes. Okay? So you understand why we write the facts of the case? At least now, why do we write it? To show the examiner that I have understood the question. So you the case law padikkamode, I mean the case study padikkamode, idudha keka varani edho or line la irukum. And the 2-3 points dhaan eludano. உட்காந்து பேராகிராஃப்ல எழுதக்கூடாது. மேக்ஸிமம் 2 lines in facts of the case. Facts of the case க்கு there's 0 marks. Even if you write or you don't write, he does not care. But what is the advantage? For that, all the students will be like, அதான் மார்க்கே கொடுக்க மாட்டானே, அதெல்லாம் எழுதி டைம் வேஸ்ட் பண்ணு. No. If you write this, he will at least understand that you understood the question. He will again spend less time in this. The trick is not making him spend a lot of time in question paper. So the first thing that you should start a case law with is facts of the case. And in the facts of the case, maximum 2 lines or 3 lines, not more than that. அவன் என்ன அதுல கேட்க வராங்க, அது ஏதோ ஒரு லைன்ல உனக்கு கொடுத்துருப்பான், அதை மட்டும் எடுத்து இங்க அப்படியே எழுது. Or let's say அந்த person Mr. X has given a contract, அதுல breach நடந்துச்சு, அதை பத்தி ஏதோ கேட்டிருக்காங்க, அந்த என்ன கேட்டிருக்காங்களோ that you have to write. அவ்வளவுதான். Then you have to start. And then you have to write the provisions. Provisions and applicability. In this provision section, you will be quoting the provisions of the act. Here you have to use the language of the law. Let's hear, this is the area where it should start with as per the provisions of. As per this section of this particular act, inga da ஆரம்பிக்கணும். இங்க போய் அதெல்லாம் எழுதி அவன் டைம் வேஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காது. இங்க உனக்கு क्वेश्चन புரிஞ்சிச்சுப்பா, இந்த ரெண்டு இவ்ளோ நீ சொன்ன கதையில இது 2 தான் மேஜர் பாயிண்ட், இதுக்காக நான் ஆன்சர் எழுதுறேன், அவ்வளவுதான். Over facts of the case. Then go to provisions and analysis where you quote the section. Section 9 la idu sollirkan, section 29 reference. If you don't know, what will you write? As per the provisions of the relevant act. You have the case law, no? You sit and find out whichever section it is. You just write that. And applicability. Applicability means in this case law, how is this provision going to be applied? Understand? That is only in applicability. For example, let's say you have some question relating to a contract. They are asking whether this is a contract or not. Contract agreement and kekran. So first year you let Mr. X has promises to give Mr. Y this or that. So adukku da question is only 2 line eludittu contract or definition and all of that, whatever you have to quote. Contract has to have this mandatory things like consideration, agreement, idella inga eludittu. Then you will write, in this Mr. X has done this, he has satisfied all these conditions of a contract, hence satisfied all these conditions of a contract. அதோட இத முடிச்சிட்டு conclusion ஒரே ஒரு லைன்ல, hence this is a valid contract or hence this is a void agreement. Whatever you want to write, you can write it. அவ்வளவுதான் முடிஞ்சிச்சு. Now இதே ஃபார்மேட்டை இது வந்து ஒரு 6 marks question கோ இல்ல 4 marks question கோ ஓகே. இப்போ ஒரு 3 மார்க் கேஸ் ஸ்டடி கேட்டிருக்கானா அதுக்கு உட்கார்ந்து இதெல்லாம் எழுதணும்னு அவசியம் கிடையாது. அதுக்கு டைரக்டா இந்த செக்ஷன் மட்டும் போட்டு போயிடலாம். You understand? This is a format, but this is not mandatory. What I see a lot of students is 3 mark question க்கு உட்கார்ந்து இவ்ளோ பெருசா எழுதுவியா? You're wasting your time. 3 mark question க்கு just this is enough. If you want this and all in one line, you should write. Even if you don't write, it's okay. You understand? So depending, there is no structure in CA exams. In the question இப்படி தான் attempt பண்ணனும், இந்த question இப்படி தான் attempt பண்ணனும் அப்படினு கிடையாது. There you have to, depending on the mark that they have allotted, you have to decide how much should I give. If you have to give less, if there's less mark allotted, give less. But you cannot compromise in provision and applicability. This and all can be compromised because this is all fancy only. To make it look like a law paper, conclusion irka, analysis irka, abdinga, to make it look like a law paper, we do this fancy work and all. But if it's just a 3 mark question, you don't have to write all of this. But it's a 4 mark, 6 mark is the maximum they ask you, right? I think that's the maximum that they ask you. For that, you have to write all of this. You understand? And in this also, you should write in pointers only. No paragraphs at any cost. Okay? And if you can underline the sections, or if you can quote any case laws, it will be fantastic. It's like cherry on the top. They'll obviously be knowing that, see, when you quote the case law, only when you understand the concept, you'll know that this case law is related to this concept, correct? In the provision in the case law reference kuduthirukanga when you understand it only. So when you quote a section or when you quote a case law and all, it enhances your quality of answer. It does not mean a person who does not quote will not get marks, but you will get an edge over the other person. Understand? And a lot of you have a little shabby handwriting. Some of you have very beautiful, some of you don't have a very beautiful handwriting. If you don't have a beautiful handwriting, nothing can be done about it now. You can't go to cursive writing classes and all now, not possible, correct? So what you do is try to leave enough gaps. Okay, you've paid 1,000 rupees or something for that examination, correct? You have paid 1,500 something to ICI. So please get additional papers and all, give enough spacing. I said, lot of people கோழி கேக்குற மாதிரி இப்படி அது படிக்கவே முடியல. அப்ப அவன் ஸ்ட்ரெயின் பண்ணி படிக்கணுமா? அவன் ஏன் படிப்பான்? You are his son or you are his cousin, nobody you are. Why should he take so much efforts to read your answer? He will not read it. So in case you have not a very good handwriting, try to give enough and adequate spaces to at least make it look readable. It does not have to be beautiful, at least eligible so that you can read the answer. Understood? And the differentiation type question I told you, a direct question, you just have to directly quote the provisions. Okay, direct question na in the part mattum dhaan pa theva. If they ask you what is consideration, tell these conditions. What is consideration? Define it. Conditions like this. That's it. You don't have to write a lot of things at all. Not required. When you even revise, as I told you, you need to have 3 separate notebooks for law. One is your class regular notebooks. If some of you have the habit of taking running notes in the class, that. And the second thing should be the one in which you write all the case laws. Okay, whatever. In your foundation level, maximum you will have 40 case laws. Not more than that. Maximum will be in Indian contract or partnership. I don't think so company and LLP and all has any case laws. Correct? Maximum Indian Contract Act. Indian Contract Act, examples gather panna mudiyumo. You have to try to gather it or try to note it down. The faculty give a lot of examples. That examples will help you revise. Because you are 1 month kelchi poi and the law vela padichenu vechko, it is not possible to read it. And to remember what you learnt in the first day, you will not be able to do that. And law is such a paper that you have to regularly keep revising. You only read it before the examination, which you will tend to forget. You have to keep reading every day when you get up morning, at least for an hour. Or let's say for half an hour, you need to read any one topic of law. Okay, and you need to section, you need to also divide it properly. Now, in your foundation level, contract is very important. That's most important, highest priority. Even one day before exam, the first act in here the Indian Contract Act. And syllabus first LLP Act padichalam. You'll start with LLP Act. But padika adukku nee half a day eduthu waste pannidva. And adula kekadhe 5 mark. Adukapra Contract Act you don't have time. You tend to leave few units and go. Correct? So first you should finish Contract Act, then partnership, then companies, then comes your LLP. And you have one more act, no? Sale of goods. So sale of goods is also important than LLP. So case study based question will maximum come from Contract Act and SOGA. Okay? And little bit they can ask you partnership like case study, but not that much. Company and all, Companies Act and all, irukade section they can ask you a lot of case study based question. LLP la kekave matanga na ipo irukku trend adha. So avanga change pannunalu they can, but mostly there's nothing to ask like case study in LLP. Summa edavadhu kada mari koduthu kadasiya what is அப்படினா கேட்பாங்க. Or how is this being done? அந்த மாதிரி தான் கேட்பாங்க. Okay, so this is basically a couple of things that I wanted to add. Is there anything you people want to ask in particular? And I see a lot of people you use this like some designs when you write pointers like this and all. What is, I don't know, you're drawing a hand. What is this? It's a hand. I don't know what this or this, don't use. Always you have to write, if this is your question paper somewhere, let's say this is your question paper, always draw a margin. See, if you see, you download any certified question paper from ICI, how all the people who have secured maximum marks, they always write the question number in between. I don't know how many of you have seen that. I've seen almost in all these certified copies. I did not understand why are they writing like this. First of all, they don't want the examiner to get confused. inga எழுதி inga Roman number இதெல்லாம் they don't want him to get confused. And also one more thing, one page one answer only, because you have place. I am going to save the earth, I am going to save paper, appla நீ ஒண்ணும் பண்ண தேவையில்லை. Okay, you paid him, you take additional sheet and all. When you take additional sheet, others will be like இவ்ளோ தெரியுமா, நம்மளுக்கு தான் தெரியும், நம்ம எடவுட்டு நிறைய எழுதிருக்கணும். Okay, so everybody will like, when I see others taking additional sheet and all, I'll be like, pa நம்ம இன்னும் இந்த புக்லெட்டே முடிக்க மாட்டோம் போல இருக்கு, these people are taking additional sheet. So that is okay, take additional sheet, but ஒரு paper ஒரு பேஜ்ல ஒரே ஒரு क्वेश्चनோட ஆன்சர் தான் எழுதணும். Because what happens is sometimes if this is your page, நீங்க question 1 நீ ஃபுல்லா எழுதுற, கடைசியில உனக்கு ஒரு 1/4 தான் இருக்குன்னு வெச்சுக்கோ. அப்போ when you start there is chances he will miss and go. ஏன்னா அவன் இங்க தான் டோட்டல் போடுவான். சோ அவன் இத கன்சிடர் பண்ணாம கூட சில டைம் போய்டலாம். A lot of people who go give for revaluation, sometimes why their question paper is wrongly reevaluated is because they do like this. That is the reason we tell clearly, don't take that risk and all. Just go to the next page and start. Even if you have only taken one line, it's okay. Nobody is going to offend you or cut your marks and all. Go to the next page and write it. And when you write a question, let's say question 1 has 4 sub questions, A, B, C, D. That A, B, C, D should be attended together. Okay, you can attend any question that you want. That is, you can start with question 6, you can start with question 5. Starting the question is any question you can start. 1, 2, 3 போணும் அப்படிதான் அவசியம் கிடையாது. ஆனா இப்போ நீ 3 question எடுத்துட்டேன்னு வெச்சுக்கோ, 3 ஓட 4 செக்ஷனுமே ABCDயுமே ஒண்ணா தான் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணும். Okay, so what do I do if I don't know any answer is leave some pages and go. If you read question 3 ka part 1 here, question 3 ka part 3 in some other page, he will simply put a dash and go, because that is not even allowed to do. Okay, once though you are not allowed to do, even if he is very kind enough to correct and all, he'll cut your marks because you are wasting his time. No, அவன் இதுக்கு போய் திரும்பி ரெஃபர் பண்ணும் அந்த क्वेश्चन பேப்பரை, நீ அதுக்கப்புறம் வேற क्वेश्चन எழுதி திரும்பி அவன் பேஜ் திருப்பணும். He tends to miss out. Mark allocation அப்போ தப்பா கூட பண்ணலாம். So this is all our chances. So don't take risk. And when you write, also write A, B, C, D proper. So first most important thing in a law examination is your preparation more than anything. If this and all will okay, give you let's say 5-10 marks extra, but the most important is spending time in understanding the subject. It is a beautiful subject. It's one of my most favorite subjects in my foundation and intermediate. And I got exemption in both my foundation and intermediate because you have to like the subject. For that you have to understand why this is there. இப்போ ஒரு provision படிக்கிறேன்னா அது ஏன் வந்திருக்கு, அது ஏன் examples கேட்கணும். This and all you should be asking in the class and noting down. So when I used to revise, when I used to recollect that example and what my sir did at that time in the class and all, it becomes more interesting for me. So why is it, if you see it as a theory paper, there's a lot of reasons to hate it. But if you see it, it's extremely practical. Because law as a subject ஏன் வந்தது, ஏதோ ஒரு பிரச்சனை இருந்தது, அதை சால்வ் பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு ரூல்ஸ் எடுத்துறாங்க. கரெக்டா? அப்போ என்னெல்லாம் பிரச்சனை அப்போ இருந்தது, இப்போ கான்ட்ராக்ட்லாம் இல்லாத போது என்னெல்லாம் நடந்தது, அப்படினா you will be able to know. So it's such a beautiful subject. So first of all, when you study any subject, whether it's mathematics or law, in foundation usually these are the two biggest subjects that are our enemies. Either some of them don't like mathematics, some of them don't like law. But the thing, whenever you start any subject, is don't start with the mindset that I don't know anything, or I will target only for 40 marks, or எப்படியாச்சு பாஸ் ஆயிட்டா போதும்பா. Don't target like that, and don't do mark wise reading. They'll try to ICA பாத்தீனா இப்போ அவன் உனக்கு ஏதாவது மாடல் பேப்பர்னு ரிலீஸ் பண்ணிருப்பான், அதுவும் உன்னோட ஆக்சுவல் பேப்பர் எழுதி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ரெலவென்ஸ் will be very less. But in your board exams and all, it will be not like that. With your model paper and all, you will predict which chapters and all will come, because they will give whatever. The model is basically Xerox of my original paper. In your board examinations, here it is not like that, right? So don't do any RTP wise revision. Like RTP la இந்த question, for some students what they do is இப்போ வந்து RTP படிக்க மாட்டாங்க, previous year RTP la படிப்பாங்க, because that will only come in the examination. Nothing like that. RTP and everything they will take from some 1984 paper and all, from where you will find out. Okay, so that and all is not going to work. And don't do any trend wise that this person is telling, this senior is telling. No, that may be worked out for him because it was his luck, but there's no shortcut. You have to sit and read. And before the day of examination, if you're planning to read the ICI, you have to know what to read in the ICI. Full ICI exam ku ஒரு நாள் முன்னாடி படிக்கவே முடியாது. இப்போ நீ எடுத்தீனா உன்னால படிக்கவே முடியாது. So either you should have your own personal notes which you have handwritten. Anybody has done like that? All of you have, correcta? Not all of you, a few of you. So most important, அது இருந்ததுனா it saves lot of your time. But if you do not have that, நீ ICI தான் நான் வந்து அந்த மாதிரி எஃபர்ட்டே எடுக்கல கிளாஸ்ல அப்படினா, you have to at least underline what is important in ICI. And எல்லாத்துக்குமே மோஸ்ட்லி முடிஞ்ச ஒரு கான்செப்ட் மேப் மாதிரி. நானே எப்படி பண்ணாலும் இப்போ ஒரு ப்ரொவிஷன் படிச்சிட்டேன், இது எனக்கு புரிஞ்சிச்சு, இதோட எக்ஸாம்பிள் நாமும் எனக்கு கிளாஸில் நல்லா புரிஞ்சிச்சு. ஆனால் ஜஸ்ட் ட்ரை டு க்ளோஸ் யோர் ஐஸ் அண்ட் ஐ மீன் நாட் க்ளோஸ் யோர் ஐஸ், தென் யூ கான்ட் ரைட், பட் ஜஸ்ட் ட்ரை டு க்ளோஸ் யோர் புக் அண்ட் ஜஸ்ட் ரைட் த கீ பாயிண்ட்ஸ். அட்லீஸ்ட் இஃப் யூ ஆர் ஏபிள் டு ரீகலெக்ட் தட், பிகாஸ் யுவர் கீ பாயிண்ட்ஸுக்கு தான் மார்க்கு. இன் ஆடிட் லாலாம் கீ வேர்ட்ஸுக்கு ஆர் யூ ஏபிள் டு catch that key sentence அப்படிங்கிறது தான் important. And in this and all, in our schools and all, இப்போ வந்து for example, most of the questions will be wholesale. There are two types of questions, you know, wholesale and retail. Yeah, wholesale question is எப்படின்னா அதில் வந்து எழுதுறதுக்கு நிறைய ஸ்கோப் இருக்கும். If I tell you, write about consideration, write a short note about consideration. கன்சிடரேஷனுக்கு ஒரு யூனிட்டே இருக்குது. ஸோ யூ வில் ரைட் அ லாட் ஆஃப் திங்ஸ். பட் இன் சிஏ எக்ஸாம்ஸ் தில் நாட் ரைட் யூ ஆஸ்க் யூ லைக் தட். அவன் வந்து ஏதோ ஒரு லைக் கன்சிடரேஷனில் ஏதோ ஒரு 6 கண்டிஷன் கொடுத்துருக்கான், அதுலேயும் 3வது கண்டிஷனை மட்டும்தான் கேட்பான். யூ அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட்? ஸோ தே வில் ஆஸ்க் ஸ்பெசிஃபிக் கொஸ்டின். ஸோ யூ கேன் நாட் ரீட் இன் அ ஹோல்சேல் மேனர் அண்ட் எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் டு பாஸ் த எக்ஸாமினேஷன். யூ ஹாவ் டு ரீட் ரீட்டெயில். உள்ள இல்லை ஒவ்வொரு பாயிண்ட். இப்போ நீ வந்து எப்படிலாம் ஸ்கூலில் பண்ணோன்னா 8 பாயிண்ட் இருக்குன்னா 4 மட்டும் தான் படிப்போம். அந்த மாதிரிலாம் இங்கே படிக்க முடியாது. ஏன்னா அவன் கேட்குறதே 8வது பாயிண்ட் தான். நீ 4 மட்டும் படிச்சுன்னா அவ்வளோதான் காலி. உனக்கு புரியுதா? இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம வந்து அது ஸ்கூலில் தட் இஸ் ஸ்ட்ராட்டஜி. யோர் திஸ் இஸ் ஃபூலிஷ்னஸ். பிகாஸ் அவன் அந்த மாதிரி கேட்கவே மாட்டான். ஸோ நீ படிக்கிறதும் உன்னோட டைம் வேஸ்ட் தான் பண்ணுற. ஸோ யூ ஹேவ் டு ஸ்டடி ஆல் த பாயிண்ட்ஸ். அட்லீஸ்ட் ரிமெம்பர் 6. பட் எல்லா பாயிண்ட்ஸ்லையும் என்ன இருக்குன்னாச்சும் உனக்கு தெரியணும். நாளைக்கு அது ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்காக ஏதாவது கொஸ்டின் கேட்டானா யூ ஷுட் பி ஏபிள் டு அட்டெண்ட் தட். Yeah, so have your own personalized note. Even if you haven't prepared, it is only 5 acts. You can very much prepare in this 1.5 months. You have your exams on June, correct? So you can very well prepare. And every day morning as CA foundation student, kaalla enchone law dhaan padikkanum. Like if you're not coming to, like you're coming to class by let's say some 7 o'clock na, you should ideally get up early and study at least a little bit of provisions of law. Try to remember the case laws. Because while you come in the evening and all, after attending the class and all, nobody feels like studying a theory paper. Appo maths edavadhu podlam, illati accounts podlam, because that naturally practical paper a lot of people will like. Theory is not somebody that everybody will like. Correct? So you should always try to do it in the morning. And morning you're fresh, you'll be able to remember it also very easily compared to studying a law paper in the evening. And as far as your BCR paper is concerned, it is very, 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 again, a very strategical paper. Never in English paper write lengthy answers unless and otherwise asked for. அப்படின்னா இப்போ ஒரு கொஸ்டின், இப்போ லெட்டர் ரைட்டிங்லாம் 2 பேஜுக்குலாம் நீ எழுதுறீன்னா உன்னோட ஃபூலிஷான ஆள் வேறு எதுவுமே கிடையாது. இங்கிலீஷ்லலாம் த மிஸ்டேக் வாட் தே கேன் ஃபைண்ட், கிராமட்டிக்கல் மிஸ்டேக், சென்டென்ஸ் ஃப்ரேமிங் மிஸ்டேக், இல்லாட்டி நவுன் இங்கே வரணும் உனக்கு அதுவே தெரில. ஆர் என்ன சொல்லுது, இப்போ ப்ரெசென்ட் டென்ஸ், பாஸ்ட் டென்ஸ், பாஸ்ட் பர்டிகுலர், பாதி பேருக்கு இதெல்லாம் என்னன்னே தெரியாது. இப்போ எனக்குலாம் பாஸ்ட் பர்டிகுலர்லாம் என்னெல்லாம் ஐ டோன்ட் நோ. ஆர் ஃபியூச்சர் சம்திங் they have different version. I mean, English as a subject is very simple, but it has a lot of nuances, correct? So you cannot, and in a BCR is basically English paper, correct? English paper with only that writing part in it and some vocabulary that they have inserted. Okay, so in BCR paper, the most easy chapter is chapter number 1. In which that is the most easy. What is it? Communication. Yeah, communication. Yeah, I forgot. In that they have some para language. இந்த மாதிரி எதெல்லாம் இருக்கும். இப்போ அதில் வந்து டோன் இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட், அதெல்லாமே ஒரு கொஸ்டினாக கேட்பான். ஸோ அந்த சாப்டரில் ஷார்ட் BCR பேப்பரில் ஒரு டிரெக்ட் கொஸ்டின் வரும். BCR பேப்பர்னாலே டிரெக்ட் கொஸ்டின் தான். அதில் இந்த சாப்டர்லேருந்து கண்டிப்பாக வருமானா கண்டிப்பாக வரும். இந்த சாப்டர் படிக்கிறது ரொம்ப ஈஸி, ஏன்னா சாப்டரே 5 பேஜுக்கு தான். ஸோ இதை நீ ஃபஸ்ட்டு படிச்சிருக்கணும். அதை விட்டு நிறைய பேர் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, BCR பேப்பரில் ஒரு செக்ஷன் இருக்குது, இன் விச் யூ ஹேவ் டு ஸ்டடி ஆல் தட் சினோனிம்ஸ் அண்ட் ஆண்டோனிம்ஸ். அதை உட்காந்து படிச்சுட்டு இருப்பேன். அதுலேருந்து அவன் கேட்கவே மாட்டான், அவன் புக்கில் இல்லாத எதையோ தான் கேட்பான். ஆப்வியஸ்லி கரெக்டா? Because synonyms and antonyms is based on your general knowledge. உனக்கு எவ்வளோ இங்கிலீஷ் தெரியும், அதுதான் நீ ரெகுலராக நியூஸ் பேப்பர் படிக்கிற, நீ இவ்வளோ நிறைய vocabularyலாம் பார்க்குறேன்னா you'll be able to guess it. That is all full guessing. Everybody sitting and memorizing that. From that you will not even ask. You can read it, but your focus should be in scoring in these areas. That communication chapter, I don't know exactly what content and all comes inside it, but I remember this para language, tone and all. What is communication? இதெல்லாம் ICI ல நிறைய தடவை கேட்டிருக்கான். If you look into the past year papers, what is communication ங்கிறது அவன் கேட்பான். ஏன்னா இவன் வந்து you can't write that in your own words. There is one particular definition in that chapter for what is communication சொல்லிட்டு, trying to exchange of ideas or something like that. No, பெருசாக ஒன்று இருக்கும், அதான் எழுதணும். So that and all is very easy to even memorize. So BCR first chapter that you should be focusing is that communication chapter. Secondly, format based writing. அதை தவிர பார்த்தோன்னா மெஜாரிட்டி கண்டென்ட் என்னது BCRல ரைட்டிங் பார்ட் தான். Notice writing, press writing, வேற என்ன, letter writing. What are the other writing sections you have? Note making, வேற மெமோ இதெல்லாம் இருக்குது, கரெக்டா? circular, all of this is writing. இதெல்லாம் நீ என்ன பண்ணுனா ஒரு 4 பேஜ் எடுத்து எல்லாத்துக்கும் லெட்டர் ரைட்டிங்னா அதுக்கு ஃபார்மேட் என்ன, ப்ரெஸ்ஸிக்கு ஃபார்மேட் என்ன, ஃபார்மேட் மட்டும் லைக் நோட்டீஸ் ரைட்டிங்க்கு இங்கே வந்து நேம் ஆஃப் தி ஆர்கனைசேஷன், இங்கே டேட் இருக்கணும், இங்கே சப்ஜெக்ட் இருக்கணும், இங்கே 3 லைன், இங்கே சிக்னேச்சர் சம்திங், ஐ ஃபர்காட் த ஃபார்மேட் அண்ட் ஆல். பட் அந்த மாதிரி இந்த மாதிரி டம்மி ஃபார்மேட்ஸ் மட்டும் நீ பண்ணி எல்லாத்துக்கும் வச்சுக்கணும். எக்ஸாமுக்கு போகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி நீ ப்ரெஸ்ஸி எல்லாம் உட்காந்து ஒவ்வொரு ப்ரெஸ்ஸியாக படிச்சுட்டு இருப்ப. ஜஸ்ட் லுக் at this format and go. But you should have for that format in 1, 2, 3 pages in a notebook. All the whatever writing part is there, for that everything you should have a format. And always pick those writing section in which there is mark for format. Like letter writing. இப்போ லெட்டர் ரைட்டிங்லாம் பேஜ் ஃபில் பண்ணுறது ரொம்ப ஈஸி. ஏன்னா ஃப்ரம் அட்ரஸே பாதி எழுதணுமா, அதுக்கப்புறம் கம்பல்சரியாக வேறு 2 லைன் விடணும். ஸோ அதில் பாதி பேஜ் போயிடும். அதுக்கப்புறம் லைக் 2 அட்ரஸ், அதுக்கப்புறம் டேட்டு, சப்ஜெக்ட், இதிலே பாதி பேஜ் ஃபில் ஆகிடும். தென் கண்டென்ட் கீப் இட் வெரி ஷார்ட். Very short, just write body should be introduction, what is the problem, adukku something will be like in the municipality request that the drainage some problem, that and all you people very know, hostel students all simply you write no messages, you will know this problem is there, you people are very good at that, no writing problems and all. So that like that you have to write some content, and then lastly you'll put your affectionately, your sincerely, that and all you put and finish it. All the format ki 3 mark, risk is kammi. Even if you write something wrong grammatically, he has to give mandatory for 3 marks, correct? So okay, in 6 marks 3 is coming, you can at least be relieved. Notice alla one more advantage, notice, circular, pressy enna format kuttiya da eludum. Adala writing memo ella enna, it's a type of short communication, correct? Yarukku quick or information communicate pannuna notice or memo, கரெக்டா? ஸோ அதிலலாம் ஃபார்மேட் இட் செல்ஃபே நீ குட்டியாக எழுதணும். அதில் போய் பெருசாக எழுதினா ஃபார்மேட்டே தப்பு, யூ வில் கட் யுவர் ஃபுல் மார்க்ஸ். So don't show your intelligence there and all. Try to write very less. This article writing and all, don't even pick. And what are the other long writing areas that you have? Sorry? You don't remember? I remember article was there in my time. Summary writing. Summary writing is a part of note making, correct? Note making is again an art on how to write. How many of you know how to write note making? Like perfectly. In CBSE students will be knowing, because our major part of that first one will be note making in 12th standard. All of you know? Some of you facing difficulty in note making? No? Okay, all of you know, because that is one area in which we can cut a lot of marks. Because note making has a particular trick on how you should read that. Note making la full paragraph la ukandu padikkanonu avasiyam kediyadhu. You have to pick out important stuffs. So if any of you don't know, you can ask me, because majority of you tell that you know, and I'm not going to be wasting time explaining that again. But if some of you do not know note making on how to write that and all, I'll give you exactly what you have to, how you have to read that paragraph. You don't have to read the entire comprehension for note making and all. There's a way to write it in which you'll get summary and all. Romba kuttiya da eludum. Summary eludumona epovume box podnom. You should differentiate the summary from note making. So this and all are kuti things that a lot of people don't know. If you're writing notice, circular and all, you have to write it in a box format only. You can't just simply write it. And that the indentation should always be in center for writing. You know that? For notice writing, the indentation, you know the intent, my tongue is also rolling. Basically the alignment should be in the center for when you write notice and all. You know that, right? And the date should always not be like this. I saw a couple of you writing like this and all also. No, it should be 31st of December like this. Whenever you write for a English paper la இந்த மாதிரி கோட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா இந்த மாதிரி தான் இருக்கணும், அந்த மாதிரி எழுதக்கூடாது. Understand? These are the small things in that writing area. I think in your book itself they would have given do's and don'ts and all. So you don't have to read that. BCR la in the majority 1 day preparation for your law exam, you have to spend 70% of your day preparing for your law paper, and 30% only preparing for your BCR paper. BCR paper 1 hour you should take to revise all the formats of whatever writing is there. எல்லாத்துக்கும் இந்த மாதிரி நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி ஃபார்மேட் மட்டும் ஒரு 2-3 A4 ஷீட்ஸ் எடுத்து பண்ணி வச்சுக்கோ. அதை டக்குன்னு ரிவைஸ் பண்ணிடலாம். கம்யூனிகேஷன் சாப்டர் படிக்கணும். இந்த ஆண்டனிம்ஸ், சினோனிம்ஸ், அப்புறம் இந்த ஃப்ரேசஸ்லாம் இருக்கும்ல, ஃப்ரேசஸ் இல்லை, what do we call it? Idioms. அது 3 ஏரியா தான் படிக்கணும். இதில் ஆண்டனிம், சினோனிம், இடியம்ஸ்லாம் நீ எவ்வளோ படித்தாலும் அவன் வேறு ஏதோ தான் கேட்க போகிறான். So you can make an effort to see all of that, but then whatever comes depending on your general knowledge, that is also MCQ, correct? So just, I think that is MCQ, or they tell you to write MCQ. So 25% every answer is correct anyways. So you can take a risk there. But communication, short scoring. Other படிச்சிட்டு போய்டு format படிச்சிட்டு போய்டு. All the maximum should take 4 hours to prepare for the BCR paper, which you should do one day. That is, இப்போ இன்னைக்கு எக்ஸாம் எழுத போறேன்னு வெச்சுக்கோ, இன்னைக்கு உட்கார்ந்து BCR படிக்கணும். காலையில் the day for example after accounts is usually law, correct? அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ் எக்ஸாம் எழுதிட்டு வந்த உடனே யூ ஃபீல் வெரி டயர்ட். அப்போ உட்காந்து இந்தியன் கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆக்ட்லாம் எடுக்கக்கூடாது. அப்போ உட்காந்து எல்எல்பி ஆக்ட் தான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு எடுக்கணும். பிகாஸ் அப்போ வந்து நீ எக்ஸாம் போயிட்டு வந்ததுக்கே ஒரு 4-5 மணி ஆகிடும். நீ ரிஃப்ரெஷ் ஆகிட்டு அந்த எக்ஸாமில் என்னெல்லாம் தப்பாக எழுதணும் அப்படிலாம் ஃபீல் பண்ணி முடிக்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு 7:30 மணி ஆகிடுமா. ஆஃப்டர் தட் மேக்ஸிமம் வில் ஸ்டடி till 11 o'clock. You can quickly finish only what chapter? LLP. So finish LLP in that day, and if you can do Companies Act. The next full day you should sit and do only the 3 important acts, that is SOGA, Indian Contract Act and Partnership Act. Because இதில் தான் கேஸ் ஸ்டடி நிறையா கேட்பா. ஸோ இதை படிச்சுக்கோ. எல்எல்பி கம்பெனி எல்லாம் அதெல்லாம் கம்பெனி ஃபார்மேஷனோட ப்ரொசீஜரே ஒரு 2 பேஜ்க்கு வரும். அதெல்லாம் கேட்கவே மாட்டேன், சில டைம் தான் கேட்பான். ஸோ ப்ரொசீஜரல் பேஸ், தட் இஸ் டிரெக்ட் கொஸ்டின் நிறையா வரது வந்து கம்பெனிஸ் அண்ட் எல்எல்பி. அது ஃபஸ்ட் டே எக்ஸாம், தட் இஸ் அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ் எக்ஸாம் எழுதி முடிச்சுட்டு வந்து படிச்சு முடிச்சுட்டு நெக்ஸ்ட் 3 நாள் உட்காந்து ஃபுல்லாகவுமே யூ ஸ்டடி ஒன்லி திஸ் சோகா, பார்ட்னர்ஷிப் அண்ட் இந்தியன் கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆக்ட். அடுத்த நாள் ஏன்ச்சி ஸ்டடி பிசிஆர். ஏன்னா அப்போ தான் நீ இந்த மாதிரி இடியம்ஸ்லாம் டக்குன்னு பார்த்துட்டு ஏதோ போயிருக்க வந்திருந்தா கூட நீ டக்குன்னு அடிச்சிடலாம். கரெக்டாக அதை படிச்சுட்டு போனீங்கன்னா that will be perfect. So even planning 1.5 days before the exam நான் என்ன பண்ண போகிறேன், plan is very very important. No matter how much you prepare in this 4 months, இதோட the most important thing is 1.5 months before examination. What all toppers do is, before even 3 months of they writing the examination, they decide what are they going to do. And the 1.5 day in the 1 hour enna panna pora, and next 1 hour enna panna pora, that and all they decide. அவங்க எப்படி இவ்வளோ பர்ஃபெக்டாக இவ்வளோ ஒரு டஃப்பான எக்ஸாமில் விச் பாஸ் பர்சன்டேஜ் இட் செல்ஃப் இஸ் 10%, 11% வரதுல இவங்களாம் எப்படி டாப்பர்ஸாக வராங்க அப்படின்னா இன்ச் பை இன்ச் அவங்க பிளான் பண்ணுறாங்க. வாட் யூ திங்க் கம்ஸ் இன் டு ரியாலிட்டி. கரெக்டாக இப்போ ஒரு படம் எடுக்கிறான்னு வச்சுக்கோ, லைக் சே பாகுபலி or this RRR and all, that director would have imagined each and every scene. That is why how is it so beautiful to watch? Even if the story is not good, it is so beautiful cinematically to watch that. No, because he has imagined that each and every frame. For you, this is your movie. Okay, you are all players here. This is your match and this is your day. You have to somehow hit a 6 no matter how unwell you are. I still remember when I was writing my intermediate examination, doing my tax paper. I had not, இப்போ 1.5 days தான் இருக்கும், and tax will have 2 areas, GST and income tax, correct? So income tax is the one that is a very vast, so we study it on the 1 day before, and ஒரு நாள் ஃபுல்லா லீவ் இருக்குல்ல அப்போ, and the next day I had to study 2 most important chapters. நான் என்ன நினச்சேன்னா இதை படிச்சுட்டு போயிடலாம், ஏன்னா இதுல இருந்தால் நிறைய கொஸ்டின் வரும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு 2 chapter அப்படி வச்சிருந்தேன். But the day I got up for the income tax paper, I was literally not well. So till from 4 o'clock that I got up till 8 o'clock, I couldn't touch the book. Now 2 important areas I couldn't read it that much. I could only refresh and go because I had to leave for my exam center also early. So what happens, why I am telling you this is, you don't know what will happen that day. So you have to be 100% prepared. Okay, you cannot take, and I know what was the reason why that happened also, because I ate from outside the previous day. So obviously I did not feel that good to get up. So everything matters. You cannot eat junk. You cannot eat, if you are non-vegetarian, well, a couple of you might be, correct, but you are staying in hostel, so that option is anyway ruled out. But you cannot eat non-veg, because what happens is, these all, when you eat a pizza and when you eat like a cheese burst pizza, this takes 2 hours or 3 hours to even digest, correct, than the regular idli dosa that you eat. So already when your mind is working in so much this, you're under so much pressure, when you eat such food and all, what happens is automatically your body's functioning will slow down. You'll start to feel lazy, konja thookam varum. Right? He will either play with you in your accounts paper or in your mathematics paper. Economics, he cannot play. Even if you are not scoring in economics, you all will get beatings. It's such a easy paper. It has one very, a God's gift section called the BCK. அதெல்லாம் சும்மா கெஸ் பண்ணாலே ஆன்சர் கரெக்டாக வரும். Except for that, where they ask you to remember the company CEO name and all. That is one mokka chapter. I think that's chapter 3 or something, in which you have to remember CEO's name, the CFO's name, the company logo, what is the company's theme. That and all is mokka. But other than that, every chapter is konja guess panale ezhidilla types. Economics is little more challenging. So economics, and one more paper that is very scoring for you would be accounts. The paper which will be little challenging for you will be law and mathematics. Mathematics, because generally not a lot of people love mathematics. Like for me, I don't really like mathematics that much. So especially integration and differentiation and all, I really don't like. I don't understand basically. So especially the logical reasoning part and all, there's no logic only in that what I should answer on my la. But somehow, when you prepare for maths paper and all, if you're not that strong, statistics you should take as your, because statistics la nariya formula based chapters. Formula apply பண்ணா answer கிடைக்கும். Maths la permutation, at least try to pick out the chapters which are important, like permutation, combination, time value of money. Time value of money illada 15 மார்க்குக்கு இல்லாத ஒரு பேப்பரே உன்னால பார்க்க முடியாது. ஏன்னா time value of money is the base for இன்டரோட FM. ஸோ அவன் வந்து இதுவே தெரியல அப்போ நீ பாஸ் ஆகக்கூடாது அப்படின்னு நினச்சி டைம் வேல்யூ ஆஃப் மணி தான் மெஜாரிட்டி இதுக்கு கேட்பான். ஆனால் நிறைய ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கு அதுதான் ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருக்கும், இந்த விட்டுட்டு போயிடுவாங்க. ஸோ யூ ஷுட் நாட் டூ தட். ஸோ அவன் எப்படி லிங்க் பண்ணுறா பார்த்தியா, இதுதான் ஃபவுண்டேஷன், இதுதான் பேஸ் ஃபார் எஃப்எம் இன் இன்டர். ஸோ இதை ஃபவுண்டேஷனில் அவன் நல்லா படிச்சிருக்கானான்னு பாரு. பெர்மிட்டேஷன் காம்பினேஷனில் லாஜிக் யூஸ் பண்ணும், எப்படி இது இருக்கும் அப்படின்லாம் லாஜிக் யூஸ் பண்ணும். ஸோ அந்த சாப்டர் இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டாக அதில் நிறைய வெயிட்டேஜ் கொடுப்பான். ஈஸியாக படிக்கிறதுலாம் செட்ஸ் எல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஈஸியாக படிக்கலாம். செட்ஸே தெரியாதுன்னு சொல்லாது, அதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஜாலியாக இருக்கும் அந்த சர்க்கிளாக போட்டுட்டு இருக்குது. அந்த திஸ் யூனியன், திஸ் இன்டகிரேஷன், சம்திங் அண்ட் ஆல் வில் கம், கரெக்ட்? So try to prepare strategically, that is more important. What you are going to do 1.5 days before the examination is also very important. That day only opening ISM and finding out which is important at all will not work. For that 1.5 days before enna panna porenga notes padikka poriya, or you are going to use your faculty's reference, or you are going to study from ISM, but there is no substitute for ISM. Let me tell you, a lot of people, what you have made mistake is, in maybe who are writing for the second time or the third time, previously you followed some shortcuts by reading some other person's notes, ignoring ISM. You cannot ignore ISM. When ICI is the body and they have given something called a material, obviously they'll pick questions from that only, correct? So this person is telling, that senior is telling, no. You have to have either your own notes, which is from the ICI, or you need to read from the ICI itself, right? But reading from ICI 1.5 days before exam is very tedious. So adukku eppadi nee panna pora, it's always best to have your own customized notes than what your partner or what your friends give. Adoda onkitta neene unoda hand written notes is always the best, and a lot of you have that, right? If some of you don't have, start preparing it. Because நீ அப்போ என்ன பண்ணணும், நீ ஐசிஐல ரெஃபர் பண்ணி எடுக்கணும். ஸோ நீ யாருக்கிட்டாச்சும் டவுட் கேட்பேன். தட் ப்ரிப்பரேஷன் ஆஃப் நோட்ஸ் ப்ராசஸ்ல யூ லேர்ன் அ லாட் ஆஃப் திங்ஸ். But what is the problem is we all are lazy to prepare that notes. If you see my notes and all that I'm preparing now for CA final FR and all, my exam is after about 2.5 years only. But even now I take an effort. It takes me, like if the lecture is for 2 hours, I'll see it for 4 hours. Because நான் வந்து ஒவ்வொரு இதுவும் பார்த்துட்டு I pause, I write, I change the colors and all of the pen. Because when you read it after some time, you should feel like opening the book. Correct? And you should try to recall the entire lecture, recall word by word what the faculty is telling. I'll try to write. It takes a lot of time. All of my friends will finish quickly and go, because they have to only quickly play, they'll just listen and go. But you'll tend to forget it after 2-3 days. You have to write your own personalized notes. Okay? And in case in law you do not understand any concept, please ask the other person. Don't memorize law, because majority of your paper is case study based and not direct question based. So even if you memorize, if you don't know which memorize what, நீ மனப்பாடம் எல்லாமே பண்ணிட்ட ஆனா எதை அங்க எழுதணும்னே தெரியலனா, it's of no use. Correct? And try to see maximum case study questions. Either you should have a question bank. You all have scanner, right? You all have been provided with scanner. Scanner la ukand direct question solve பண்ணி சந்தோஷப்படாத. Put yourself in discomfort. Go read that case study based question, and whatever is your attempts, RTP and MTP, do solve that. அதை சால்வ் பண்ணாமலாம் போகாது. அட்லீஸ்ட் உன்னோட அட்டெம்ப்ட்க்கு ப்ரீவியஸ் 3 attempts RTPs and MTPs நீ சால்வ் பண்ணிக்கணும். If you are writing you are writing May 22, you should have attended both attempts. That is 21, the year 21 oda May and November, 20 oda May and November, 19 oda May and November. So total how many papers will be there? 6 papers will be there, correct? So either 6 2s are, because RTP MTP சேர்ந்தா 12 paper நீ சால்வ் பண்ணிட்டு போயிருக்கணும். Okay, so do all of this. I know this is a little very easy to say, right? Because a lot of my seniors also told that, but when you do it in person, இத படிக்காதா அத படிக்காதா, you get so confused. Correct? So that's the reason when you're attending the SAP and all, chapter wise they are giving you அந்த மாதிரி set targets and do. And always have targets. Don't study இன்னைக்கு law படிக்கணும் அப்படிலாம் படிக்காத. இன்னைக்கு lawல இந்த ஏரியாவை முடிக்கணும். தெரியலனா யார்கிட்டயாச்சும் கேட்கணும். Always you can come up to help to all of us, right? They're even arranging something for you from the next week. In case you have doubts or you have anything to help and all, they're going to arrange for you from the next week. So take the maximum use of this. You people are here only. The biggest advantage I have always told you, staying in hostel, is you all being together. இப்போ இவனுக்கு ஒன்று தெரியலனா இவன் வேற யார்கிட்டயாச்சும் கேட்டு கற்றுக்கலாம். Correct? So make use of you staying here and staying. You always keep coming to the academy for some of the other reasons, right? There are a lot of people like the qualified, semi-qualified sitting here. Or go to the BOS team, ask them, If you have a doubt, do not hold it. அப்பவே அதை யாருக்கிட்டயாச்சும் கேட்டு எப்படியாவது சால்வ் பண்ண. I'll call anybody and everybody. And don't think that he does not even score well. What will he know? அந்த மாதிரிலாம் கிடையாது. If I have a doubt, I'll pester everybody to get the answer. Okay, அந்த மாதிரி இரு. You have to clear the examination no matter what. Whatever I told, this presentation and all of that will not help you until quality is there in your answer. You cannot write whatever you want. You have to write what the examiner wants from you. Right? Just always, whenever you feel low, there are a lot of times, especially when you come to the intermediate, because that's a 9-month preparation, 9 to 10 months preparation, and you have to be highly disciplined. There's no place for any sort of entertainment there. If you're not having entertainment there, you can have it later. There's always a phase which I tell myself, if you enjoy now, you'll suffer later. If you suffer now, you'll enjoy later. Right? Now, every effort that you're going to put is going to make sense. Music and all is a memory. You understand? A lot of you, how many of you had this experience when you're writing the SAP or model or even your ICA examination, you'll be writing the answer only, but something will be going on in the back of your mind. Some music tune will be playing. நீ வந்து அந்த தாட் வரக்கூடாதுன்னு ரொம்ப ஸ்டாப் பண்ணதுக்கு ட்ரை பண்ண, ஆனால் ஏதோ ஒரு மூவி சீன் போயிட்டு இருக்கோம், ஏதோ ஒன்று அப்படியே பேக்கில் போயிட்டே இருக்கும். அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய பேருக்கு நடந்திருக்கா? Not a lot of girls, only boys. You watch nonsense stuff, that's why. Yeah. So why that happens is, that is the reason we tell don't listen to music and all of that. Acha, now you'll start talking. ஏதோ ஒன்று சொல்லக்கூடாது, அதுக்குள்ளே ஏதாவது பேசிக்கணும். So why that happens is, I used to do this always when I used to prepare for my 12th examinations. Morning I'll get up very early because I study usually early than night. So I used to get up very early. So what I'll do is, after I prepare, when I'm ironing my clothes for my school, I used to listen to music. So நான் எப்போவுமே போய் எக்ஸாம் எழுதும்போது எனக்கு அதே பாட்டு தான் ஓடிட்டே இருக்கும். So what I realized, because நீ அந்த மெமரியை போய் இன்சர்ட் பண்ணுறல, so when you're trying to recollect, like let's say you have put permutation, combination, sets, இதெல்லாம் மைண்ட்குள்ளே இருக்குது, நடுவில் ஏதோ ஒரு பாட்டு இருக்குது, let's say அரபிக் குத்து. So you're trying to recollect permutation, combination, this formula, and like this song is also coming. So you understand, don't listen to music and all, specifically while studying and all. You can do that maybe, FM solve pannuvenna, I listen to music, but that is 9 months or long time before the exam. During the exam, do not watch anything or do not listen to music. Music and all creates quick memory. Because music oda lyrics la eppadi romba seekram nabagam irukku. Tune. You tend to, whatever you see and whatever you hear, that is more easily captured in your mind. So, அந்த மெமரிலாம் கொண்டு போய் don't try to insert it. So, if you are preparing for exams, you get up early, a lot of people tend to do that. Listen to music and all, don't do that. Because when you try to recollect in the examination, that is also memory that comes out suddenly. So, that's the reason, even if you don't want that memory to come, it is playing on the back of your mind. And you're not able to stop it, right? So, these are some of the things that we wanted to add up. I don't know, so these are something we noticed, common mistakes that you made. Other than that also, as I told you, that first page fill பண்ணதுல தப்பே பண்ணிடாத. Because நீ ஏதோ ஒரு தப்பு பண்ணிட்டு ஏதோ ஒரு நம்பர் 6க்கு பதிலா 8ன்னு போட்டனா, அவன் வேற ஷீட் கொடுக்க மாட்டான், அவனோட ஒரு 5 நிமிஷம் பேசணும், அதுக்கப்புறம் அப்செட் ஆகி பரவாயில்ல அப்படின்னு ஆரம்பிக்கணும். That all creates not a very good memory to start the examination with. ரைட்டா, ஃபர்ஸ்டே எடுத்தோம்லாம் அப்செட் ஆகக்கூடாது. இதுவே ஒரு சேலஞ்சிங்கான கேமு. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பால்லே இது காலி. I did not know the phrase quickly. The term. Okay, duck out la aagudadu. Okay, you have to be very, very careful. That is why you play not test matches, practice matches. Why? Because before that day, you have to be 200% prepared. Right? So whenever you feel low, try to imagine yourself. Why do we respect Dhoni and Virat Kohli and all so much? Or why do we look up to these people? Sorry? No, are they because they are extraordinary players? No, it's because they know to handle the situation so well. Even in extreme pressure, when the entire team has lost hope, see, like when one player gets out, I don't know a lot about cricket, so don't mind if I tell you the long terminologies and all of that, but I see a couple of CSK matches, even when every player gets out, you wait until Dhoni comes for batting. Correct? Because there's always a hope, because no matter what is the situation, he'll be able to handle it. Correct? On the pressure, you will not depend on adukla or kai tattalada. Okay, your favorite player and all of that. So you don't depend on mokka players at that time. I don't know who does not play that well in that team. Who? Okay, now don't start debating about cricket. That's the reason I don't give any live examples. Now I don't know, but comparatively, let's say Jadeja is not a good player. Let's suppose Jadhav is not that a good player. Okay, so let's say when he comes in, okay, listen, When he comes in, will you have a lot of hope, or when Dhoni comes in, you'll have a lot of hope? When he comes in itself, you look at the vibe that he gives. Your goosebumps, exactly. Even when you sit at home and watch, the level of the way he finishes the match and all, look at the attitude of that man. Why you're getting inspired from him, that is okay. But don't you try to at least, when I see Dhoni and all, I don't know cricket that much, so I don't know his skills and all, the way he holds the bat, his batting, that and all, I don't know. But when I see him as a person, I see his attitude. What an attitude. Even if the entire team has lost, they have not played well, that man will come. And I've never seen him get very panic in any situation. அவன் வந்து ஒரே நியூட், அவன் ஃபேஸை பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு ரொம்ப எக்ஸைட்டடாகவும் இருக்க மாட்டான், ரொம்ப கோமா அந்த மாதிரிலாம் இருக்க மாட்டான். ஒரே நியூட்ரல், அவன் எக்ஸ்பிரஷனே ஜட்ஜ் பண்ண முடியாது. Captain Cool, okay, that's why you call him Captain Cool, okay, I did not know that. So that's the reason he's very neutral with his attitude. No matter what comes, he'll think and he'll hit it. Correct? That's why you believe in him, that's why he has so much of respect. Virat Kohli on the other hand is a little more aggressive, but I'm telling Dhoni, you all should be like him. I don't now talk something related to that. I don't know about all of the other players, so I don't get to comment on all of them. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you all are in your own game. That is, CA is your game. You're all MS Dhoni's there. You have to perform no matter what happens. Right? When they play for Team India and all, look at the level of, even when the national anthem plays in TV, how such a goosebump moment. No? When I watch that, I get very inspired. I don't enjoy the match as much as I enjoy these things. So look at the level of attitude. And have you seen that movie 83? All of you have seen, right? When the entire world was against, like, Team India la or team ivangala yenda idu World Cup ku varanga nanikumbodu you bang the World Cup. That's the attitude I want to give them. People who are writing it for the second time, third time, it's okay to fail, and it's okay if everybody judges you. And when you write for the second attempt, no, a lot of people will make you every time realize that you're writing it for the second attempt. Summa solli kaatuvanga. Give them a psychological slap. You can't go and tell everybody, no, I took a lot of effort, No, show it by your results. The only way you can tell the world to shut up is by showing your actions. Right? So try to show it through your actions. This is your last chance. Just think this is the last ball, you need a 6. And you'll win the match. And the paakradhukku will be so exciting that 1 minute will be like heart is not going to stop only. You will get up and you'll be like this and all when I'm watching at my home. So andha mari make it exciting. Okay, this excites you a lot, but when I tell companies act and all, it doesn't excite you. இப்போ ஒரு excitement வந்தது, இது கூட நான் யாராவது ஒருத்தர் ஆன்சர் சொல்றீங்களாப்பா அப்படின்னா silence, complete silence. இப்போ இதுவா IPL இதுவா you everybody knows the answer. So because that's exciting for you, which is okay. Entertainment this is full of entertainment. First of all, you all should appreciate yourself and look up to yourself that in this world of entertainment, you have picked up a course that is extremely challenging. Right? Today entertainment ku vandu korchale illa, or phone click panna podum Netflix is there, or phone click panna podum Instagram is there. Everything is so accessible. Appo when all of your other friends who have maybe studied with you in school and college picked up BCom courses, you have taken the challenge, you have accepted a challenge to do one of the most toughest exams in India. This is one of the most competitive and toughest exams in India. Right? After you write the civil services, this exam is also, even if you Google it, civil services is one of the most toughest, then it comes chartered accountants. Why do they respect you? Is not because you study so much, no. It's because at the age of 18, 19, 20, when you had the option to explore the world and enjoy, you said, no, I will study. I'll frame my future. I don't want to have entertainment. And the college எல்லாம் விட்டுட்டு இங்க வந்து உட்கார்ற பத்தியா, அதுக்கு தான் உனக்கு மரியாதை. நீ படிக்கிற லாக்கோ காஸ்டிங்கோ கிடையாது. That means you're a person of attitude. You have taken up this itself is a great thing. You have taken up the bat, telling that I'm going to play. Now it's your time to go in the pitch and actually play. Yeah? So it's only 1.5 or 2 months more left for your examination. Give your best shot to it. There are all of us here to help you. We are doing whatever we can to the best of our knowledge. எங்களுக்கு என்ன தெரியுமோ எங்களால என்ன பண்ண முடியுமோ for all of you to clear, we're doing it. What we want is you people to sit and make a sincere effort and clear the examination. I know none of you here are dumb. You have intelligence. Right? So take that effort, just 1.5 months, 2 months more left, you can do it. People are writing for the second time, last time, this should be your last attempt. Right? Clear it off and enjoy your life after that. Right? So this is what we wanted to tell. In case you need any help, you all have my number, of course. I'm part of all of your hostel groups also. And also the person who will be taking up your, who will be taking care of your results, we'll also ask her to talk to you. The one who came here, Rakshana Akka, she'll be helping you. Okay, with various other programs will coming up, but நீ அதுக்கு எஃபர்ட் எடுக்கணும். நான் வந்து உனக்கு ரிவிஷன் கிளாஸோ ஏதோ ஒன்று நடத்தணும்னா நீ ஃபஸ்ட்டு அதுக்கு உனக்கு ஏதாவது தெரியணும்ல. ஸோ அதுக்காச்சும் உட்காந்து டேக் an effort to study. Okay, and if you have anything, come up to us. We are always there to help you. Yeah, so thank you for patiently waiting and listening to us. I hope this session was of some use to you. In case you have anything, you can come up and ask.